Today, we invite a specialist on setting up your listings who's going to give us tips ranging from image selection, A-plus content, Pinterest traffic, launching an off-Amazon brand, and more. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the Amazon or Walmart world. We've got somebody who helps serious sellers from all over the world, Mark Casey. Mark, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Now, where are you located? Are you in New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York, currently in New York.
Excellent. So let's, this is your first time on the show, and I actually don't know too much about your backstory, your superhero origin story, as we call it here. So I'll learn about it just along with everybody else. So, were you born and raised in New York? You go to university, college out there?
For sure, yeah. So I was born and raised in New York. I went to school, I did everything here. I have my degree in marketing. So I started off with doing all marketing and branding. That's how I originally started my whole career. Then I was in LA for a bit. And then after, while I was there, I got a job at a company. They were actually the ones who originally started the whole essential oil, the diffusers. They were the first company to kind of launch that. So they brought me in to kind of help out with all their marketing and branding. And at that time, they were just starting off with Amazon. And Amazon, at that, I would say it was around 2016 or so. It wasn't a joke, but it wasn't serious, It wasn't what it is now. So they brought me in and they asked me if I wanted to take care of the Amazon department of things. So I honestly was laughing at it. I didn't really see so much potential, but I said I will. So I started digging deep into the whole Amazon world, not knowing anything about it actually, and just trying to scale their Amazon. Fast forward to what they are now, they're doing over $100 million on Amazon. They're huge in their category, and they're also in retail. They're in Target, Walmart, Ulta, CVS, Rite Aid, you name it. They're all in the big box stores.
So you kind of learned on the job then?
I learned on the job. Then after a while, I'm hold on a second. I feel it's funny because I started networking with other people and they were just always asking me questions and whatnot. So I just started learning and networking, meeting a whole bunch of different people. And on my own, I started learning. So, and then, it's funny. I remember someone asked me once, he's hey, we're putting an Amazon event together. Would you like to speak? And at that time, I love networking. I wasn't I'm going to get up in front of people and start speaking. She's look, it's only 40 people come and, we'll make it a thing. I'm okay, fine. So I got up to go speak and everyone heard I was going to be speaking by this event, which I thought was the 40 people, a small crowd. Ended up being 120 people in this room, all of them staring at me what's this guy got to say? And I was just speaking about Amazon. But so from there, that's kind of how our agency was born, kind of combining all my marketing knowledge and experience and all my Amazon knowledge and experience. And that's kind of how we create our agency, kind of combining the both and using the same strategies and techniques.
So when you got started with them, did you have a 9-to-5 job at the time, or were you already working for yourself?
It was more of a 9-to-5 job, and it was a very low pay, honestly. And I'm looking back at it now. What I do is I printed out my first paycheck from them and I frame it on my wall because it humbles me a bit. It's hey, Mark, remember whenever you used to work for a couple bucks over there? And now thank God, I built my whole empire for myself. But whenever I started there, it was more of a basic job. Yeah. But, yeah.
Did you ever start yourself selling on Amazon, or have you just strictly been just helping others, as a consultant or agency?
Yeah. So I started briefly, but first of all, I'm way too invested in my agency. That's A. And B, I get all these calls with everyone telling me about all their problems on Amazon. So I'm I'd rather be on the other side to help you, but it's a lot more. But I have built and I do own my own brands off of Amazon.
Off of Amazon?
Yeah, off of Amazon, which is funny. But
as in Shopify, or what are we talking?
Actual brands, yeah, either Shopify or actual brands that are in stores as well. And also things that I co-work with my branding or my marketing ideas or techniques.
Now, being somebody who knows about Amazon, what made you say, you know what? I'm not going to sell this product on Amazon. I'm just going to sell it off of Amazon only.
So there are pros and cons to selling on Amazon. For example, one product we made was more of a luxurious product, right? And even though there are luxurious products on Amazon, in some way, if you look at it, it might cheapen the product to say, hey, it's also sold on Amazon. Then you could say, hey, look, Gucci and there are other, brand name and luxurious products that are sold on Amazon, but also a lot of them aren't. And just in that point of view for that specific brand, it didn't make sense to sell it on Amazon. Besides that, there are also a lot of benefits of keeping more of the profits and working directly and having more of the your customers' data and customer everything database that Amazon doesn't give you access to.
All right. So what's like your what kind of numbers are you doing on these off Amazon brand? Like what's your gross sales about? What have you built it up to?
Well, one of them are more of a luxurious line, so that's holding around like 10 figures, which is funny because it's
10 figures. What do you mean 10 figures?
10 figures. Doing over
10 figures as in $1 billion?
Sorry. Oh my God, 7 figures. I was thinking.
What in the world? Okay, everybody, do not reach out to Mark for accounting help because he's going to really screw up your numbers.
Oh my God.
He just confused 7 figures with 10 figures. I'm like, not 1 billion. That was like 1 trillion actually dollars. I don't even know what 10 figures are.
That's honestly hilarious. Oh my God. Sorry.
I love
7 figures meaning around 10 billion. It's
7 figures is not 10 million either, Mark.
Okay, I just must have had
8 figures is 10 million.
Okay, yes. Sorry about that. Getting close to 10 million. I have a long day today.
Okay, now here's my point in asking that is like, once you build it up, even way before 17 figures or 10 figures or even 7 figures, once you get to a certain point, you've got a lot of like brand recognition out there. So like, are you seeing demand for your brand on Amazon? Like search, have you ever looked at search volume like in Helium 10 for your actual brand? Are there people trying to find you on Amazon and not being able to find you?
That's fine. So one of the projects that we're working on, I looked it up on Helium 10 to see if the search volume, and there was a significant amount of search volume, which was a big push. But again, I'm not saying it's not good to sell on Amazon. It is, but there are pros and cons to both. But for example, Amazon's not giving you a lot of that data, but you could be using that data to get those customers to come back to you and to purchase from you again and retarget them through different ads and whatnot. But Amazon's not really giving you that option to do that. They don't really give you their email and that information. You can bring if you want to build a brand and build loyalty and returning customers, you can't do that specifically on Amazon. In my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Now, obviously one of the advantages I'm sure you'd agree with launching a product or brand on Amazon is, you've already got the foot traffic there. You don't have to, do too much as far as trying to bring the eyeballs to your listing. You just got to know how to optimize, right? But when you're launching off of Amazon, like how were you able to scale to what you did? Starting pretty much from scratch as far as the traffic goes.
So that's like I get asked often in regards to that. Like, whenever you want to launch on Amazon, all you have to do is get your SEO and whatever, right? And Amazon already built that database. So you just have to show up on the search results in order to be found and get customers and that foot traffic, like you said. When it comes off of Amazon, it's obviously much harder, but the reward in some way is much better. What do? We did a lot of PR. We reached out to a lot of different, we did things that were just out of the box, I would say. And that's what made us stand out from everyone else. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Now switching back to platforms that we all know and love, just out of curiosity, your agency, are you guys helping people get on Walmart at all or manage that? Or how do you view the Walmart opportunity, in 2022?
Sure. So Walmart opportunity is actually quite big. It's growing, but what I always say is I compare it to it's like the 2017 of Amazon. I feel like it's up and coming, but nowhere close to the whole ecosystem that Amazon built for itself. We don't deal with specifically Amazon, just your question. Sorry, Walmart. Oh my God, I think I'm like drunk today. We don't deal with Walmart, but we deal more focused on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. Now, speaking of Amazon, I know most agencies are like A to Z, like, hey, you probably know a little bit of everything, but do you guys, are you personally, or, your company like known to be like, hey, man, this company really has launches or keyword research or PPC? Like, what would you say your specialty is where you feel that your knowledge and SOPs are kind of like above other companies?
Sure. So actually, we don't offer everything.
Okay.
No, that's the thing, because I like to focus what I'm good at. I break it up into two categories: marketing and SEO. What that involves,
do you ever say, I put the mark in marketing.
Yes.
All right, sorry with the dad jokes, guys, but I couldn't help myself right there.
Oh, that's funny. No, so we actually don't offer everything, and I say I like to focus what we're good at. The main thing what people really like to use us for, and we work with big brands out there. We work with people who are very very large, and I asked them straightforward. I said, "How come you're contacting us to help you with your listings if you have a huge in-house design team?" And they said it's
Mhm.
because our in-house design team knows how to design, but they don't know how to market specifically for Amazon. So I would say that's where we stand out, is because our mindset is very different. If you want graphics, you go on Fiverr. You can get graphics, right?
Sure.
That's easy, but it doesn't mean you're getting the strategy and the science behind it. I would say there's really a lot of strategy, a lot of science and techniques that I've learned and worked over the years that I know in many different categories on what works and how to bring out the selling points. So I would
Mhm.
say for listing creation, like all that design kind of stuff, and then more of SEO. I've studied the algorithm for quite some time, so I understand that.
So when you say like listing creation, like the initial structure of where to put the right keywords and how to set up the images and things like that, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and also it's also like the dirty work. Like we actually go and we do all the market research, the Amazon research. We do all the graphics for you, the photo editing, the marketing, the branding. We're really creating a product. And a lot of people think like, oh, they just put it on Amazon and then afterwards we'll just fix up the images and whatever. But there's so much more behind it which is a very big mistake to do.
Yeah.
To do it right from the first part, and that way your product could be launched successfully.
All right, well, let's go ahead and start talking about your best listing optimization tips then.
Mhm.
We actually just did a webinar where we went into all the kind of different things that's change. And I do this webinar like once every 1 to 2 years.
Nice.
And it's very different. Like the one I just did a couple months ago because of how, different Amazon is,
Sure.
now there's more bullet points, now
Yeah.
there's like A+ content and how, how that ties in. Now, a lot of front ends, or you're not able to put subject matter in some things, and the search terms has gone from like 5,000 characters to 500 to 2, like there's all these different things. So
nice.
let's just get some of your best tips now for what you guys feel you do differently as far as listing optimization. And I know you're not going to say, all right, hey, put your top keyword in your title. I mean, let's talk about some more in the weeds kind of stuff than just the stuff everybody knows.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just to address whatever you said, it's so true. Amazon is really changing every single day, and like you really have to be on top of it because they're changing so many things that really affect your listing. So when it comes to tips, there's honestly so many out there. I would say is like, okay, well, the number one thing I speak about, and people have found a lot of success with it, but it becomes a little bit controversial, is whenever I tell people, don't put your brand name in your title, right? Make the first 4 or 5 words of your
You just say don't put it in at all?
Or you could either put it at the end or don't put it in at all. Yeah.
But what do you say then when Amazon sometimes, like if you don't have your brand in your title, then sometimes Amazon might go and change it and lock it. That hasn't happened to any of your
No.
customers who don't put it in?
So that's the thing. Whenever I say people bug out, I'm like, no, I'm like, try it on one of your listings that are medium performing. Okay. Don't try it on your bestseller. Just try.
Okay.
I said, put your first 4 or 5 main keywords or that are about your product on the beginning of your title. Take out your brand name completely. If you really want to put it on the end of your brand name. People said overnight they started seeing results. And the reason is because Amazon gives priority to those first 4 or 5 keywords. And even besides Amazon, shoppers, whenever they're shopping, especially on mobile where it's cut off the title, you don't want it to be the main space filled up with your brand name. No one's really looking for your brand name right now. People are really looking for, hey, this is an exfoliating face pad or whatever it is. And that stands out. And people understand your product much quicker than having to sift through all the random words and brand names to find your product.
Okay. All right. So that's, I mean, definitely that's part of the Maldives honeymoon strategy we talk about is how, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but, title has always been important. But like I would say in the last 2.5 years or 2 years, especially, like it just seems like, you change one little thing on the title, you'll instantly see like the impact. So it just, unless somebody's trying to backdoor secret information from Amazon, nobody really knows exactly the formula of the algorithm. But just in my opinion, from what I've seen, doing things to your title has a bigger impact than it did like 3-4 years ago.
Definitely. No, I agree. And even with the same thing when it comes to bullet points, is that people put emojis and just make it a whole long. I'm like, dude, your bullet points are your bullet points. They're not your description. And even putting that aside, no one's reading descriptions and bullet points anymore. It's like before everyone said no one reads your description, and now no one's even reading the bullet points. People will, and obviously in different categories, it depends. So don't hold me on that. But my main point is that people are very visual, and you need to be able to target and sell your product really quickly within your infographics. When people go, they scroll, and if they don't like it, they're gonna go to someone else. That's how it is with Amazon. If it's not you, it's someone else. It's not like your all the products with your competitors are pretty similar. I'm sure yours are better in somehow, but if it's going to be, if your product looks outdated or just doesn't look good, it's not appealing, people will just go out and go to someone else. And then, so I said this before, and then someone came over to me and said, no, I'm just going to leave my listing regular and my A plus content, I'll go all out. I said, that's very stupid. And the reason for that is that why would you wait for someone barely even going on your listing, right? You're going to wait for someone to scroll down to go learn about your product. You have to be able to catch their eye within the first 15 to 30 seconds of them being on your listing. If you're not selling your product on time, if they're not understanding what it is and why they should buy it, why they're going to benefit from it, or why to buy yours rather than someone else's, their attention is going to go elsewhere, especially with 110 different ads and pop-ups and newer model available and sponsored and all those display ads. That's how it is. That's why you have to make sure to show why you're the best and why they should purchase from you rather than someone else.
Okay. So what are some of these things that you're doing to make sure that happens?
Sure. So whenever it's by your infographics, people just often just put a picture of someone using their product. That's not enough. What we like to do is combine a lifestyle image and an infographic together. So showing someone using the product, but putting like clear symbols or like clear icons and saying, hey, this is the benefit A, B, and C. That stands out so people understand, hey, this is why I like the product. Or a lot of people just do infographics about the product themselves, and they don't show someone using the product. And even besides Amazon, in a marketing perspective, that really hurts your product a lot, because by having it there, right, your mind subconsciously already is relating the product to their emotion. So in your mind, even if you're not thinking about it, your mind is thinking, hey, if I get this product, I will be relieved from pain. I will be happy. I will be excited, or whatever it is, right? So when your mind connects the two dots together and says, hey, this product is going to solve my issue through a lifestyle image, you're already 10 steps ahead from your competitor, or even if just you using infographics alone.
Okay. What are you suggesting as far as videos? Like, are you saying, hey, everybody should definitely make one image in your stack a video, or are there some cases where that doesn't make sense?
Usually video does really, really good on listings, 100%, because it speaks to them. So that's like even going to the next step. Well, first is making sure your infographics are there. But if you have that, you want to go to the next step. Video is important because that's what speaks to someone. That's what sets the tone of your product. Because you think about it, at the end of the day, you're just on a screen. You're not there to explain your product. There's no word, there's no emotions, there's nothing involved. But once you put a video, you're setting a tone, you're setting an emotion, and you get to explain your product much easier than you would with just infographics alone. It catches people's attention too.
You have like time limit, or like a target time on how long the videos can be, or should be, I should say?
Yeah, no, it should be. It shouldn't be more than 30 seconds. If it's an explainer video, that's a whole nother story. But the video shouldn't be more than 30 seconds. And within the first 3 seconds, it has to be a hook that will get the customer to stay on your video. And that's a proven thing, that if within the first 3 seconds, your video is not exciting enough, they will just go exit out and go on to something else. So you have to make sure the hook is good and not waste the time with your brand, your logo, and a whole introduction. You don't need that. You do that at the end. In the beginning, you catch their attention, and now you have them hooked to watch the rest of the 10 to 20 to 30 seconds.
What else about on the topic of listing optimization? Do you have as far as tips on how to get index, or how to make sure the Amazon algorithm knows you're relevant, things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, first of all, I always say is that people underestimate the power of Spanish keywords. A lot of times people say, oh yeah, I'm just have a listing, and why would I put in Spanish? It's not in Mexico. But like, that's literally the stupidest thing ever, that there are many, many people in America who speak Spanish and are going on Amazon and typing in the product in Spanish. So now imagine if you just input these in your backend search terms. If just put them there. You could even do advertisement on them, but if you're putting them in there and you're indexed and getting ranked, you just got all those sales that your competitor didn't get because you thought of this. So that's A. B, once it comes to indexing. So this cool trick I found is, and it really works literally wonders. We had someone who sold KN95 masks during COVID, okay? And now imagine A, getting indexed for the keyword without getting flagged, and B, just getting indexed for the keyword, period. So I told him, I was like, do A, B, and C, which I'm about to say, and see how that goes for you. And he got indexed right away for a crazy amount of keywords. So what we did was he got his friends to ask a question about the product on the listing using those main keywords. So for example, let's say in this case, KN95. So he would get one of his friends or someone to ask, hey, is this KN95 mask? Da, 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 da. And then the seller answers the question as a seller, yes, this KN95 mask is 100% da, 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 with, and just keep inputting the keyword you want to index for. That is the quickest way you can possibly index your listing. And the reason being is because let's say you just put in your title, bullet points. That takes time for Amazon to learn. Let's say you do PPC. That will work, but it also takes time to clicks and get purchases and to learn. The first day you launch your product or whatever it is, first week or whatever, and someone's already inputting that keyword into the question, Amazon picks it up right away and starts indexing you for literally almost automatically.
So then this would be for like keywords maybe that you're not even indexed for yet, or maybe they're forbidden keywords or something that you couldn't put into your listing, and so you have to kind of get indexed for it in other ways.
Exactly, yeah, and it really works because he couldn't use KN95 in his listing officially because of like a whole bunch of stuff when COVID was going on. So he did it through the question and answers, and it worked wonders. He really got ranked, and there was only like maybe 30 sellers in that category that were really approved, and he was able to get ranked and was selling. I think for how he told me every day he's sending 5,000 containers a day just to refill stock, and who knows how many masks were in those 5,000 containers. But yeah.
Now, what are some of the biggest mistakes as far as listing optimization that you see sellers, probably a lot of sellers who I'm sure come to you. It's not like they're brand new and this is their first Amazon listing, but they probably have existing listings, and then you guys go in and are like, what in the world was this person thinking? Like, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you think you can warn people about?
Famous misunderstanding or misconception that people think is like they think that their A+ content like replaces their description. So many people, when they approach us, we see their A+ content is just a design, but they don't take advantage of the wording and all the keywords you could be putting under. So they're like flaunting, yeah, we have such a nice listing, it's amazing. I'm like, honestly, yeah, your design's amazing, but where's your description? Like, what do you mean we have a description? I'm like, no, you don't look. And then you see, like, what do you mean? You could put words there? Like, yeah, that is your description. Amazon does give you relevancy and indexing for the keywords you're putting under the images. So now all the images you're putting on the actual image, all the keywords you're putting on the image itself are what's indexing you. Amazon doesn't really pick that up. Maybe through their algorithm, they'll pick it up, but not for an indexing purpose. It's for understanding your product better. But all the keywords you're putting under the words of the EBC, that is what's going to get you ranked.
When you say under the image, is that like the alt text or the
No, the description. There's a box where you could put a straight up description. Just many people don't utilize it.
But now whenever I've tested that, if you're talking about the regular A+ content, like I've almost never had anything get indexed in there. It's like very rare. Like stuff in the back end description I do.
No, for sure. No, I'm not saying that's your number one place to put the. Look, I wouldn't say to put your main keywords there instead of your title and bullet points and back end keywords. What I'm saying is that places there are more opportunity for you to be putting other types of keywords in there. Even if people are not reading it specifically or whatever it is, it's still very important to be putting keywords there. And we've seen it. Yeah. We've seen results from it.
I definitely, the one thing I do see over there is you almost get indexed immediately on Google, where even if it wasn't in your listing and then you put it in there, and maybe you're not even indexed for that keyword on Amazon, but like in Google, you'll get indexed right away for the that A+.
That's I never even paid attention to that. I never.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do some tests on that. I'd be curious, because the reason I was asking about that other thing, and I haven't been able to duplicate it much myself, but people kept saying, oh yeah, even though the description maybe doesn't always get you indexed in A+ content, but if you use that alt text or image text and put keywords in there, but when I tried it, it didn't work like all the time. So it looks like a lot of this stuff is hit or miss. But one thing for sure we tell people is keep your back end old description, even though it doesn't show anymore. It'll help you stay indexed. Now, you talked about, the Amazon algorithm. So yes, the listing optimization is more for like, hey, making your customers happy and appealing to the customers. But what kind of SEO things are you doing so that you keep the Amazon algorithm happy?
Exactly. Okay. So the number one thing, which another mistake, like you said, that people do is like people go and spend like $1,000 on a top copywriter to write a listing for them, and they're so happy about it, but they don't understand that yes, it sounds amazing if it was on a regular website, sounds amazing if it was on a Shopify site. But when it comes to Amazon, it's not just about it sounding amazing. There are a lot of keywords in there that you're missing. So, for example, like we analyzed his listing, and we saw that all the keywords combined, he could have had over 250,000 search volume on his listing. So we input his listing, and we saw that he only had, I think, 5 or 10,000 search volume on his listing with the keywords being used. So I went back and asked him. I was like, "Is this copywriter like? Did they optimize it for Amazon?" He's like, "I don't know. It just sounds so good." I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds so good, but you're missing all the Amazon things." Like, yeah, you have to please the customer. That's for sure. You have to make sure it sounds good, appealing, and someone wants to buy it. But you can easily accomplish so many keywords. You could be putting so many keywords that give you search volume, and at the same time for it to sound good. It's not impossible. People think it's impossible. So don't keyword stuff, but you could still come with a very good copy, but secretly putting in all those Amazon keywords. Because at the end of the day, yes, you're serving the customer, but realistically, you need to teach Amazon about your product. You need to teach Amazon the relevancy that this keyword is relevant and makes sense, is associated with your product.
Okay. What are some tricks of how you decide which ones are the most important? Because obviously, you can do your research in Helium 10 and, find 5,000 keywords related to the listing. You can't have 5,000 words in phrase form. So how do you pick, like, do you have a number of you target like, hey, the rest of these ones, I just got to make sure I have the individual keywords so I can get index, for it. But these ones I need to have in phrase form. Like, you have a magic number of how many you're targeting for that?
What we do is create the copy and then see for other words that we can swap out with these keywords. So let's say, for example, like we came up with whatever keyword, right? And then we see a similar one that's available to use with more search volume. So we would swap it out, but make sure the sentence makes sense. So is there a main number that we would target? I don't have a specific main number, to be honest with you. But I would go after the ones not only that have more search volume. We would look at the score that it gives us, the search volume, and with the competition. And then whatever we don't use within the title, bullet points, and description, then we'll put that in the back end. And same thing with like Spanish keywords. We would save all the Spanish keywords for the back end of the listing, because I feel if you put in the front, it's just confusing your customers. But definitely has so much benefit if you put in the back end of your listing.
What's some real world experiences you can give us? You don't have to mention the product or the customers or anything where either one of these strategies you're talking about, or maybe something else that you haven't talked about, where, they were at this level before, they were doing maybe this numbers, and then boom, they did this and their conversion rate went up, or their sales went up by X% or something like that. Did any like cool stories come out, stick out in your mind?
So there's this one customer of ours that is in the health and beauty industry, and he has a pretty competitive product, but he started around the same time as his competitor. His competitor has, I think, close to 75,000 reviews on his listing. He has around, I think, 10,000 reviews on his listing. What did he do? He spent 3 months and I don't even know how much money to perfect his main image. And whenever he told me this, I told him straightforward, I think you're crazy. I said, why are you spending so much time on your main image? Just come up with something good that stands out enough and you're fine. He said, no. The main image is what starts the funnel. That's what starts the story. That's what gets you to click. So then I was brainstorming with him, and I didn't understand what he was saying. But after 3 months of him perfecting it, he said, look where we started and look where we are now. Our conversion rate went through the roof after just making these couple of tweaks and adjustments, because compared to our competitor, when we're standing right next to him, this little feature of the bottle of whatever shade or whatever we did made us stand out much more. And we started selling much more of this specific product that he was working on. So whenever it comes to the main image, so then that's what I start to say now too, because I've seen it time after time, is that your main image is very important. That's like the top of the funnel, I would say. And that same thing with off of Amazon too, but more specifically on Amazon, is that the top of the funnel is the main image, because that's where you get your initial click. But it doesn't just stop there. So that's another mistake people make, is like, yeah, let me have an amazing main image, but my infographics they're crap. But so let's say you worked hard on the SEO, you're ranked now, fine. Now you have amazing main image and you got that click, but now your conversion rate is going to suck because if you finally got that click and you finally got everything, and let's say your price point is good, but when they don't understand your product and you're not going to purchase it, your conversion rate is going to drop like crazy.
What are some just like quick hitting tips? Let's close the episode with a few of your top strategies. You've been giving us strategies throughout this episode, but what are some maybe 30-second ones you can give us, like that you think that sets you guys apart, or that your customers are implementing that you probably assume that the majority of our listeners might not know about or might not be doing?
Sure. So underratedly, we don't even deal with it, but it's just a very good strategy we've seen time after time. Is Pinterest and Pinterest ad. Like first of all, outside traffic, we could speak about an hour about it. Outside traffic is so important on Amazon, and I'm sure everyone knows, but that doesn't mean running Facebook ads, because Amazon sees what Facebook is and they have different priority levels for each traffic that comes in. So in Amazon's eyes, Pinterest is a very high level priority, and people are not tapping into that. I've seen so many good results. Obviously, TikTok is great and all these things are great, but when it comes to Pinterest, what's the main difference, right? Just to break it down real quick. Whenever you're doing a Facebook ad, you put $100 ad spend. After the $100 is spent, your ad is in the air. It's not existent anymore. A Pinterest ad, or whenever you're making a pin on Pinterest, it's like a blog, but it stays there almost forever. So it's a blog for your product more specifically, but you get these influencers to make pins about your product, and you get articles written about your product that just age and stay there forever. And then if you want to take it up to the next notch, whenever you link it, if you obviously linking it through a good URL, through an Amazon URL, you can also get all that Amazon rank too. So you're getting the organic sales, and you're getting a lot of attribution with different keywords too.
So how do you, what's your strategy as far as deciding what kind of image to use, and then how you're describing it? And does everyone definitely have a link that goes to the Amazon listing, or how do you get discovered on Pinterest? How do you do SEO for Pinterest? Because sure, you can pin anything, but if you're on page 75 of the results, it doesn't really matter.
No, for sure. So that plays into the second thing. So once it's on Pinterest, there is Pinterest SEO, and obviously very different than Amazon and very different than Google. That's where the influencers are very important, because they already have like these pins, and I'm not 100% familiar on how it works, to the fact that I can speak so much about it. I just know the general idea. But once these influencers are the ones pinning your whatever, your product or your article, and they're making articles on your behalf, I would say, and then linking it to your product, then that gets you SEO on the
so it's not necessarily you as the brand posting your own products.
Exactly.
You're getting other people to
meaning for the pins, but you could do ads. The Pinterest ads you could do as a brand. But then I'm going to take it to the next step. Now imagine getting those articles ranked on Google. So now you have double the amount of SEO, meaning you have the Pinterest SEO for the platform itself, and those Pinterest articles. I'm sure when you search a recipe or something, a solution to something, you always see like the Pinterest things come up. So now imagine your article is part of a solution or part of a blog that solves an issue, but now that's showing up on Google. So now you're getting a three-way funnel, meaning you're getting the Google SEO, for the Pinterest, and then you're getting the Pinterest SEO, and then ultimately you're getting the Amazon SEO through everything coming in through. Meaning whatever, through the whole entire funnel that you just put out. Yeah.
All right. What are that's Pinterest. Well, what else can you give us that you think that people might not be utilizing enough?
So basically, we did this for one of our clients. So what they did was, first of all, the newer model available feature is super underrated and very, very powerful, and people underestimate how you can even get it. Everyone's like, no, you can't get it unless you do it through this way, a black hat way. But no, Amazon gives you the option to do a newer model available, obviously, whenever it's related to the product. But we use this part of our launching strategies. Whenever someone's launching a similar product, whatnot, we ask Amazon for them to be the one to input the newer model available for their product. And it helps in so many different ways in regards to traffic. We did a whole case study on this. In regards to traffic, it helps with all the keyword indexing, because Amazon gives all the traffic. Let's say someone typed in plastic water bottle, right? And then they clicked on listing A, and then it went to newer model available. Through that funnel, Amazon still gives the ranking juice, so to say, from plastic water bottle from listing A to the finalized listing of them clicking and purchasing it.
Cool. What's your at your company, What do you think is the team's favorite tool of Helium 10, and how do you guys use it?
Okay, the magnet tool, super, super useful, especially if you really learn to how to use the filters and whatnot. And it really shows you down, like to the end of the day, like the down pat numbers. Very easy to find keywords. Also, the keyword tracker, I really, really like it, and it plays kind of hand in hand together.
Cool, cool. I believe you guys are one of the sponsors, right, for our upcoming conference that's coming up at the end of the year?
Exactly, yeah. We have a booth there, and we're sponsoring one of the after parties.
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, if you haven't got tickets yet for our Sell and Scale Summit, go to h10.me/S3, h10.me/S3. You guys are in our directory, too, so if you want to reach out to Mark and his team, you can either go to directory.helium10.com or how else can people find you on the interwebs out there?
So houseofamz.com, and then I know this one's a little bit controversial, but amazonseo.com.
Amazon SEO. Nobody's ever come after you for having that domain?
That's why I'm like scared to say it, but I mean, it's there for now, and it's very easy to remember. So amazonseo.com, yeah.
Love it, love it. All right, well, Mark, thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience with us, and we'll be seeing you in September in Vegas, and keep up with the good work. Talk to you later.